it will leave you for someone who will. That's an old Irish proverb that my grandmother, Annie O'Donnell, used to tell us when we were children. She used it in all kinds of handy situations. 5 o'clock in the morning, when we were supposed to be getting up for swim team practice on a cold day and would rather stay in bed. Or when we did not quite as well on a test or quiz than she knew we were capable of. She'd just look at you with that look and say, if you don't use your power, it'll leave you for someone who will. Well, it was the perfect proverb, not only because it was Irish, but because it covered physical, and it covered intellectual, and it also covered moral. Moral. How can that be? Well, let me tell you, that phrase popped into my head not too long ago. I was having a bad week. Okay, who here has had a bad week? Oh, sad to say, most people can empathize with that. Well, I was having one of those weeks where I just felt like there needed to be an extra day or 2 or 3. I had a lot of board duties for the Capillary Food Bank. One project was 15 hours for 1 week. I was doing some work with Girl Scouts. Big project was due right around the corner. I was also helping a neighbor walk her dog in the mornings, and I had promised one of my friends I'd help him with some marketing for his business. And then there was another thing. What was that other thing? Oh, work. I still had work to do. I work for a living. Sometimes at the end of the week, on the to-do list, work is sort of down there at the bottom. And you think, okay, this is what pays my bills. And in this economy, work elevates itself to a little bit higher plane. Well, I finally sat back and I said, I am done. Stick a fork in me. I am going to have to, as Nancy Reagan would say, just say no. I'd have to say no to Girl Scouts. I'd have to say no to my buddy that needed marketing. I was going to have to say no to some of these volunteer projects that I always put on my plate. And I just had this weight lifted off me. And I said, I'm done. I feel much better. I felt relaxed. Time was opening up in my mind. So I took a deep breath and drove down to the downtown post office, where I have a P.O. box. I hadn't been to the post office in 6 weeks because I was too darn busy. I go to the post office and I start pulling out 6 weeks of mail, and I even find Christmas cards. I hadn't seen the Christmas cards, so I started ripping into envelopes thinking, oh my gosh, whose cards am I about ready to receive that I should have had on my Christmas card list last year but forgot? And as I opened them up, I realized these aren't Christmas cards. They were thank you cards from people who I had done volunteer projects for. So here I am, whining, complaining, bipping in my mind about me, when I realized that what I was doing was making an impact. And I realized as I read through them that my power is in my speaking voice, thanks to Toastmasters. One of the messages was from a little old lady at a nursing home who said, thanks for sharing your stories about Ireland when you were our entertainment last week. You brought back great memories of my childhood when I was a little girl. Another one was from a middle school student who said, thanks so much for the lesson on compound interest. You finally let me understand it, and you also let us have a lot of fun. And they went on and on. But to me, the most meaningful one was from a woman at Safe Place, which is our Center for Battered Women here in Austin. And I was a victim of domestic violence. So I speak at Safe Place every year when they bring in a new group of women for their classes. And this woman said to me in her note, "Thank you for sharing everything you've accomplished since you left your battering husband. It gives me something to look forward to for my future." And that's when it hit me. My power is getting a story out to these people. My power is helping someone else with a story I share. You better use your power or it'll leave you for someone who will. What's your power? It might be something as simple as baking cookies and bringing them to the office to make everyone's day. What's your power? It might be just going down the street and helping a neighbor who lives by herself and maybe needs a hand every once in a while. Discover your power. Cultivate your power. But whatever you do, use your power. If you don't use your power, it'll leave you for someone who will.